Some time ago, I had a challenge as a father, as these things will occur, when one of my daughters, my second daughter to be exact, in her junior high experience, encountered a social situation which was a bit challenging. She found that in a group of 7 young ladies that lunched together and palled around together in the clubs, that 4 of the 7 belonged to the church, 3 did not. The 4 had a silent pact, as it were, to try to convert the 3. And as they were lunching together, as they frequently did, one of the young Latter-day Saint girls commenced to tell an off-color story. It wasn't in good taste. It was out of order. And my daughter came home that night and she recounted the situation. In fact, she was even bold enough to tell me the story. And it was a problem. Now, she said, "Dad, don't tell me what's right and what's wrong. I think I understand the principle of the gospel sufficiently to know that it isn't the thing to do." But she says, "What do you do when you find yourself in the situation? How do you handle it?" And remember, she didn't add this postscript, but I could see it in her eyes. "Remember, Dad, the important thing at my age, sir, is to be included, to be popular, to be accepted, to be wanted." So she said, "Will you give me an answer, sir, and keep me popular?" You know? Well, that's a task for any teacher or parent. And so we visited, and time won't permit all the details. I try frequently to get her to see the principle as per instructions from great leaders, wise leaders, divine leaders. And I turned, after some discussion, to the cleansing of the temple experience in the 3 Gospels that record it. And you recall the story. I didn't take a lot of time to give her the history of the Pharisees, the Sadducees, or the money changers. And so if I read the cleansing of the temple story, and we referred to a great experience Joshua had in making a similar choice, I said, "What do you get out of this story?" She said, "Well, the Savior was upset." I said, "May I just suggest one thought?" He was saying amongst his peer group, there comes a time in every person's life when you have to stand up and be counted. And it may not be the popular thing to do. You may have to stand alone a few times. I said, "You think about that, and then you and I'll have another talk." And she thought about it. And she came back a few hours later and she said, "I can't think of any ways to apply this, Dad." And so we talked some more. I said, "I'll tell you what. If the Savior was right, let's you and I go out in the garage and I'll make a cat o' 9 tails and you go over and clean out that junior high school." "Oh, Dad," she said, "you missed the point, sir. You don't do that and be popular." I said, "All right, how's this for a chance? How would it be that the next time you find yourself in that social situation and somebody starts to tell an off-colored story, you stand up and say, 'Now listen here, we won't have any more of that.'" She says, "Dad, you just haven't got it." Oh. Well, I kind of thought she would think that. And I said, "Well, now, why don't you submit a plan?" She says, "Let me think some more." You know, she walked away with that look. "How did I get you for a dad?" Well, I went about my business. A new day came and went, and I returned home on the second day, and my wife was at the kitchen peeling some potatoes for supper. And as I approached her to give her a little kiss on the cheek, she was pushing tears up. I thought, potatoes don't do this. "What's the matter, honey?" She says, "It's your daughter. You better go see her." I thought, another crisis, you know. So I tiptoed into the back bedroom, and there was a sweet experience awaiting me. This little thing who had wrestled life as it really is was sitting on the bed, pushing back a few. She's not overly emotional. I said, "Well, tell me, what's the matter?" She said, "Dad, it's an interesting thing." She said, I took the cleansing of the temple story today to task and applied it." I said, "Oh, did you clean out the junior high?" "No." She said, "I called Margaret, who was the problem, little Mormon friend, said, "Can I walk home with you?" Yes. So we walked home. I brought her in the back bedroom, and I set her down, and I said, "Margaret, I just want you to know that our friendship means a great deal to me." And she said, "Yesterday you kind of put all of us on the spot. I felt it, and I think you did, and I know you didn't mean to be this way, but when you told that story, it reduced all of us in the eyes of our non-Latter-day Saint friends." And she said, "Now, while I appreciate your intent was maybe honorable and you thought this was a clever way to do it, I wonder if the next time you feel that you have to do this, would you warn me in advance so that I could be excused?" And Margaret broke down and put her arms around this little daughter of mine and said, "Would you forgive me?" And he said, "Dad, we cried for an hour." And then the climax. She said, "You know what, Dad?" I said, "No, what?" She said, "The New Testament really works, doesn't it?" Yes, the New Testament really works. Because when you come to understand the concepts and the principles, and you make the proper application in life, doesn't matter whether you're sitting in a parked car, doesn't matter whether you're at the ball game, doesn't matter when you're in the athletic contest, you'll be able to draw upon the things that bring the eternal joy and happiness that each of us basically seeks.